I want to start with asking you, what is a community problem that you're aware of that needs to be solved today? And I want to just open that up to shout outs from all of you. What are some community problems that you're seeing around you right now that need to be addressed? Jobs, healthcare, homelessness, adult autism, school budgets being cut, addictions. I heard, say that again? Apathy, vacant spaces, cyberbullying, global warming, income gap, sexual violence. So there's a whole ton of problems out there. No shortage of those, as we all know. Now, the normal way for us to fix those problems is either we let the government take care of it, or we create a nonprofit and we ask for donations from corporations, from the government, from individuals to take care of the problem. And that's sort of been the traditional way of doing things. And the problem that you run into there is that right now we're running high on the problem end and short on the tax and donation end. So we end up looking around trying to figure out where are some of the solutions to these problems. Where are they going to come from? And the question is being raised, can we have business solving some of those problems? The trick with business is that people have a very fixed mindset of what business is all about, that business can be only about making money, and should it really be in the business of solving problems? Let's just think about this. It's been that way in the past, but doesn't necessarily have to be that way going forward. It's a convention, it's a way we've been doing things, but things do change over time. Things have changed in business and elsewhere, and so maybe business can change as well. You've got things like slavery, which was once an accepted business paradigm. Child labor was once an accepted business paradigm, but those we've grown to realize don't work, and we've moved away from those. So it has changed in the past, and therefore it can and will change in the future. It's just a matter of how it's going to change. Should there only be one purpose for business? Should there be only one purpose for any of us being alive today? If we had to choose just one reason for us to be alive, what could we agree on? You know, is it babies? Is it God? Is it money? Is it soccer? There's a lot of different reasons out there for people to be here today, and I'm grateful that we can all pick and choose what are the things that resonate with us. So social enterprise is really just another way of looking at business. It's another way of thinking about why we are in business. Traditionally, entrepreneurs are taught you go into business, you make a ton of money, and then when you're rich and usually old, then it's time to give back. And the social entrepreneur turns that around and says, no, I'm starting with the idea of being in business for a purpose. And so a lot of energy goes into creating that business all around the idea of purpose. So there's going to be a lot of different flavors out there that are of social enterprise. It can be a nonprofit, it can be a for-profit. And you're going to see a lot of those if you take a minute to go around and look at some of the exhibits out here today. There's all different kinds of businesses that are being set up in order to solve community problems. So there's a lot of things that social enterprises differ in, but there are some things that are common tenets to to most, if not all, social enterprise. And the first of those would be that it is committed to social enterprise. And social responsibility. And that really is basically saying, do no harm. That the sort of baseline is, you're not going to conduct business in such a way as to do damage to people, the environment, and that kind of thing. So social responsibility is really a cornerstone of any social enterprise. Transparency is another very common tenet for social enterprise. And what that means is you're sharing the information that you have. In this day of WikiLeaks, you can be pretty sure if you've got secrets, they're going to come out anyway, so you might as well design your organization around that. But, at Walker, we say basically, if you can't explain it to your kids and you can't explain it to your grandmother, then you probably shouldn't be doing it. And that's a pretty good rule to live by. Local jobs is another one that's becoming more and more prevalent in the whole social enterprise idea. If you are paying for people to work for you, it's a good thing to be paying people from your community to work for you. That shipping jobs overseas may have a short-term cost impact, but the long-term negative impact can be far greater. We talk about fair and equitable wages, and that goes on both ends of the spectrum. So you've got a living wage at the low end, and you've got some restrictions on some crazy, egregious pay on the high ends. And there is something addressing that in most social enterprise ventures. That you make a net positive social impact. So you're going to be doing, you're going to be impacting the environment because you're doing things on paper or you're driving trucks around. There is going to be a negative impact by the business that you do, and obviously you want to have a positive social impact as well. So the idea is to make sure that the net impact is a positive one. And lastly, that we put people and purpose before profit. And that doesn't mean that profit isn't important, because of course it's very important. You can't do much of anything if you don't have profitability. But it's what you are in business for. Are you in business to make the profit, or is profit a means to an end? And in a social enterprise, it's a means to that end. So I just want to make two important points. First, I'm not suggesting that all businesses can or should be social enterprise, but I'm suggesting that we open our minds to the idea that social enterprise is another way of doing business. It's not just a silly notion, a naive notion. It's a very, very powerful notion, but it does take a little bit of tweaking of the way we think of doing business today. But we believe, I think everybody here in this room, as a country, we believe in the free market. And in a free market, all ideas are welcome, and may the best idea win. Social enterprise, I think you can put up against any other kind of business, and in the long run, you're going to find it's a very competitive, appropriate approach in this time. And the other thing that I want to mention is social enterprise is more of a process than a destination. You are constantly moving in that direction if you start to pay attention to it. So we're gonna learn here today that it's a little bit difficult to try and pin down an exact definition of what social enterprise is, and really it's important to not get into the you are, you aren't. In a lot of cases, that's irrelevant. It's kind of like going green. We're all on that spectrum, and we talk about going good, that we are all wanting to move in that direction of getting the transparency, getting the different kinds of things that are inherent to social enterprise, to just be taking steps, sometimes big steps, sometimes baby steps, in moving in that direction. That there is a understanding that we need to think outside of the box, that we need to think of all the different ways at our disposal to solve community problems, to create jobs. And social enterprise is a beautiful combination of both those things, because you can actually solve business problems while creating jobs with no extra burden on the tax holder. And that's a pretty win-win-win kind of a thing. Now, we've got this new idea of social enterprise to kick around. It's going to take a little more time, and it's going to take a lot of talking. We've got to all get together. We've got to talk about it, figure out whether it works for us, how it works for us, what flavor is right for us. And that all takes time. So we have to go through a process, and some of us are quicker at doing that than others. But be patient. The people that are tend to be confused or hostile, and those are going to be people outside of this room. It's not because they're greedy, soulless parasites. It's because they're just maybe not as far along on that path as you. Social enterprise is an idea whose time has come, because it's using business to solve community problems. Today, we've got more problems than we can solve through just simply taxes or donations. We've got to get creative about what we're doing and how we're solving those problems. My feeling is that someday we're going to look back on this time. We're going to look back in the same way that now we look back on slavery or child labor and wonder what the heck we were thinking about, that we thought that business being done for profit and only for profit was going to be somehow sustainable or satisfying over the long run. I thank you for coming with open minds and open hearts. I know that you guys are busy, and I hope you leave today with ideas and inspiration to take home and help move along that progression of going good. Thank you for taking time out of your busy lives, for thinking outside of the box and going beyond business as usual. So thank you.